All right, we're back for another deep dive. This time, it's all about how to make those good habits we want, like totally irresistible.
Ooh, that sounds intriguing.
Right. So last time we were talking about tiny changes leading to big results. Remember that 37% better thing?
Oh yeah, I can't forget that one.
Still cracks me up. And then there was making desired habits obvious, like strategically placing your workout clothes right where you can't miss them, or hiding the kale behind the ice cream. Purely hypothetical, of course.
I get it. Out of sight, out of mind.
Exactly. But this week, we're switching gears a bit. We're tackling making habits attractive. We're going to, get into the science of why we crave certain things and how we can use that to, make those good habits stick.
So we're gonna, outsmart our brains into wanting to do the things that are good for us.
You got it. It's kind of like bribing our brains into being healthy and productive.
I like the sound of that. Bribery is a language I understand.
Who doesn't, right? So buckle up, because we're about to dive into the fascinating world of dopamine and how it can help us make even the most dreaded tasks, well, a little more appealing. Think broccoli can be as enticing as, say, a big bowl of popcorn. Stay tuned.
You're really setting the bar high with that broccoli comparison.
Well, hey, anything's possible with the right motivation.
True that. So where do we begin with this whole brain bribery concept?
Good question. It all starts with understanding this thing called dopamine, how it plays a role in building habits.
Okay, dopamine. Remind me again, what exactly is it?
It's like this chemical messenger in our brain. Think of it as a little reward signal. When we do something that feels good, our brain releases dopamine.
Ah, that makes sense.
Right. And then that makes us want to do that thing again and again. It's like our brain's way of saying, hey, that was awesome. Let's do it again.
It's like a built-in reward system, huh?
Exactly. And the more we do that thing, the stronger the craving for it gets. It's like this feedback loop of pleasure and habit.
So if we want good habits to stick, we need to make those habits trigger that dopamine release. Make them feel rewarding.
Bingo. Now you're getting it.
That sounds easy enough in theory, but honestly, some things just aren't as fun as others. Like, take flossing. One tooth. Which we all do, right?
Of course.
It's just not as exciting as, say, spending hours scrolling on social media.
Okay, you got me there. Flossing one tooth, it's a tough sell. But that's where things get really interesting. This is where James Clear, the author of Atomic Habits, comes in. He talks about this thing called temptation bundling.
Temptation bundling. That sounds almost too good to be true.
Oh, it's totally legit, and it's kind of genius.
Yeah.
It's basically linking an activity you want to do, like maybe working out, with something you actually need to do, but dread.
So, only letting myself watch my favorite show while I'm folding laundry, because I gotta admit, that makes laundry day a lot more bearable.
See, you're already a temptation bundling pro. You're making that chore more appealing by connecting it to something enjoyable. Your brain's basically getting double the dopamine hit.
Whoa, I'm a pro and I didn't even know it. I'm starting to see how this works. We're basically training our brains like you'd train a puppy, right? Give it a treat, a reward for doing something good.
Perfect analogy. We're using our brain's natural reward system to motivate ourselves. But here's the catch. It's not just about those individual rewards. The stuff we do on our own. Our social environment also has a huge impact on our habits. Think about it. Have you ever ordered an extra slice of pizza just because everyone else at the table was doing it?
Oh, totally. Peer pressure is a real thing.
It's more than just peer pressure, though. Clear talks about how we tend to copy the habits of three groups. He calls them the close, the many, and the powerful.
Okay, so close is like our family and friends, the people we're around all the time. Their habits just rub off on us, even if we don't realize it, right?
Exactly. If your friends are all super into fitness, you're going to be around more healthy habits and activities.
Yeah.
It's like their good habits are contagious.
Makes sense. So then the many must be.
That's the bigger group we belong to. Our community, our city, even society as a whole. We tend to do what everyone else is doing, wanting to fit in. It's human nature, right?
Like that feeling you get when you're the only one not dancing at a party. Suddenly you're on the dance floor too.
Exactly. And then there's the powerful. These the influencers, celebrities, anyone we admire and want to be like. Their habits and actions influence us, whether we admit it or not.
So if my favorite celebrity starts posting about their daily meditation routine, I'm more likely to give it a shot.
You bet. We want to be like the people we admire, especially when it comes to stuff like habits and lifestyle. But here's the thing. This social influence, it can work both ways. Think about it.
Yeah.
What if you're surrounded by people with not so healthy habits? How does that affect your own goals?
Oh, I see where you're going with this. It's like trying to eat healthy when everyone around you is snacking on junk food 24/7.
It's a constant uphill battle, right? That's why it's so important to be mindful of who we spend our time with. If we want to build good habits, we need to be around people who value those same things. Like that saying, you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with.
Oh, yeah, I've heard that one. But it's so true. It's like we're not just copying their actions, we're actually absorbing their values and beliefs, too.
Exactly. And remember how we talked about the importance of identity in forming habits? It all ties in. If you're surrounded by people who prioritize healthy eating, you're more likely to see yourself as a healthy eater too. It's like building a self-image that aligns with your goals.
Powerful stuff. But what about those bad habits that just won't quit? You know, the ones that seem to stick around no matter what we do.
Those are the real challenge, aren't they?
It's like that never-ending battle with a bowl of popcorn. I swear, that thing has its own gravitational pull.
I know, right? But here's where it gets even more interesting. James Clear suggests that those bad habits we're fighting, they often mask deeper needs that we might not even be aware of. Like, think about those times when you reach for a bag of chips after a super stressful day.
I know that feeling all too well. It's like comfort food, but not always so comforting in the long run.
Exactly. And it might not really be about the chips themselves. It could be about that need for comfort, a distraction, or even a way to escape that stress, even just for a little bit.
So instead of trying to ignore those cravings, I should be asking myself, what's going on inside that's making me want this right now?
That's a great starting point. It's like we're being detectives with our own habits, trying to uncover the clues behind them. By understanding the root cause of those cravings, we can start to address them in a way that actually works.
Mind blown. It's like we've been given a whole new set of tools to deal with those cravings.
I know, right? And next week, we'll dive even deeper into making those good habits not just attractive, but totally irresistible.
I can't wait. This is getting good.
Stay tuned, because we've got lots more tips and tricks to uncover.
So how do we actually put all this into practice? Like, how do we make those good habits not just attractive, but practically irresistible?
That's the million-dollar question, right?
Right.
Well, one thing James Clear talks about is this idea of reframing our habits. Instead of focusing on what we're trying to avoid, we should highlight the positive things that come from those habits we're trying to build.
So instead of saying, I got to stop eating junk food all the time, I could say, I want to fuel my body with healthy food that makes me feel awesome.
Exactly. You're reframing it. By shifting the focus from, deprivation to the good stuff, you're making it more attractive, more motivating.
It's like we're changing the story in our heads. We're not battling against something. We're moving towards something way better.
Love that. And remember that 37% better thing. Even small improvements over time can lead to amazing results.
Right. It's all about progress, not perfection.
Exactly. Every step, no matter how tiny, is a win. It's like, remember flossing just one tooth?
Oh, yeah. That's our running gag.
It might seem small, but it's a step in the right direction. Speaking of small steps, remember how we talked about making those habits obvious last time? Putting those running shoes right by the door, prepping healthy snacks ahead of time?
Yeah, those visual cues.
It's all about making it super easy to follow through.
So this time, we're making those habits not just obvious, but irresistible.
Exactly. We're creating an environment that works for us, not against us.
And don't forget about temptation bundling. That can make things more fun, right? Like only watching your favorite show while working out.
Genius. It's all about those little tricks that help good habits stick. But let's be real. We all slip up sometimes, right? There are days when that metaphorical bowl of popcorn just wins.
Oh, yeah, I know that feeling. Willpower takes a vacation sometimes.
The key is to not let those slip-ups derail everything. Learn from them, get back on track. It's all part of the process.
It's about progress, not perfection.
Exactly. Having a plan for when those slip-ups happen can make a world of difference.
So, like, always having healthy snacks around when those late-night cravings hit.
Brilliant. You're setting yourself up for success. And don't forget about the power of having a supportive community.
True, true. Having people around who cheer you on, it makes a huge difference.
It's like having your own personal cheerleading squad. And, a little healthy competition never hurts either.
It's amazing how much easier it is to stick to good habits when everyone's doing it together.
And speaking of support, don't forget to celebrate those small wins along the way. Each victory, no matter how tiny, is a big deal.
Absolutely. You got to acknowledge those wins. Every time you choose a healthy snack over junk food, Every time you work out, instead of hitting snooze, take a moment to feel good about it.
Exactly. Those small wins, they build momentum and they reinforce that good feeling.
So at the end of the day, it's all about building those healthy habits that make us feel good inside and out.
Couldn't have said it better myself. It's about making small, consistent changes that lead to a healthier, happier life. And remember, you're not alone in this. We're all figuring this out together.
We're all on this journey of becoming our best selves, one tiny habit at a time.
And even those tiny steps can lead to incredible transformations over time.
Absolutely.
So let's take a moment and think about what we've learned so far about making habits attractive.
Yeah.
We talked about temptation bundling, reframing our habits to focus on the positive, and how our social circles play a huge role.
Yeah, and the importance of celebrating those little wins and having a plan for when things go sideways.
Right. But there's another key piece to this puzzle. To make habits truly stick, we need to make them easy.
Making them easy. Okay, I'm listening. Because honestly, sometimes even thinking about starting a new habit feels overwhelming. Like, where do you even begin?
Right. You're like, ugh, this is going to be so hard. But that's where the magic of James Clear's 2-minute rule comes in.
The 2-minute rule. Okay, tell me more.
It's this idea that any new habit, you can start it by making it so small, so easy, that it takes like less than 2 minutes to do.
2 minutes, So like instead of trying to run a marathon on day one, I just focus on putting on my running shoes.
You got it. Or instead of writing a whole chapter of that book you've been meaning to start, you commit to just writing one sentence.
I see what you mean. By breaking those big, scary tasks into tiny pieces, it doesn't feel so impossible.
Exactly. You're taking away that resistance, that initial feel.
It's like tricking my brain into thinking, okay, 2 minutes, I can handle that.
Exactly. And once you've taken that first step, it's so much easier to keep going. It's like that momentum you get once you start working out. It's easier to keep running once you're already out the door.
Yeah, it's so true. So the 2-minute rule, it's all about making that starting point super easy.
That's the key. It's like you're greasing the wheels to get that habit moving.
Love that analogy. And then once that 2-minute habit is like part of my routine, I can build on it.
Exactly. You start small and gradually add more. Instead of just putting on your running shoes, you go for a quick walk around the block. Instead of one sentence, you write a paragraph.
It's like working out a muscle. You start with lighter weights and gradually increase the reps and the weight.
Perfect analogy. As you get stronger, you can challenge yourself more. But starting small and being consistent, that's the foundation.
Right. Consistency over intensity.
And it all comes back to those tiny actions, right?
Yeah.
Those 37% better moments adding up over time.
It's not about making these huge, drastic changes. It's about those small wins that compound and create big results.
And when you make those habits easy to start, it creates this positive feedback loop. You feel good about those small wins, and that keeps you motivated.
Okay, so to recap, we've talked about making habits obvious, attractive, easy, and satisfying.
Right, and we talked about the importance of your social circles, surrounding yourself with people who support your goals.
And don't forget celebrating those little victories along the way.
Exactly. Every step forward is a win, no matter how small it seems. This whole deep dive has been so insightful, right?
Totally. And it's so cool how it all connects back to what we talked about before. Like last week, we were hiding those tempting snacks.
Right. Out of sight, out of mind.
And this week, we're making healthy choices so easy and appealing, they practically call out to us.
It's all connected. It's like we're building this system that supports our goals and helps us make those positive changes stick. So, as we wrap up, I have a challenge for you. Remember those snacks you hid last week?
Oh yeah, I put them in the back of the pantry where the sun don't shine.
This week, your mission is to make those healthy options so irresistible that those are the ones you crave. It's time to put all these strategies into action.
Game on. I'm ready to make healthy habits happen.
Remember, it's all about progress, not perfection. Be kind to yourself, celebrate every win, and never stop learning and growing.
Great advice. I'm feeling inspired.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into atomic habits. Until next time, keep those habits atomic.